Hello students, I welcome you all for my today's class. So today we are going to discuss on a topic of cervical ectopy or erosion. It comes under the benign lesions of the cervix. So coming to its definition. So definition of cervix. Before that we know the anatomy of cervix. Like cervix has two components, like it is made up of ectocervix and endocervix. The ectocervix is the outermost part of the cervix and endocervix is the innermost part, and it is a cylindrical structure, and the junction between the ecto and endo is called as the scamocolumnar junction, because externally or the ectocervix is covered with the squamous epithelium, whereas the endocervix is covered with the columnar epithelium, and the junction is called as SC junction or scamocolumnar junction. So this is very important. As SC junction, you should know the normal SC junction, then only you can understand about the cervical erosion. So what do you mean by erosion cervix or the cervical ectopy? So definition of the erosion goes like this. Cervical ectopy is a condition where the squamous epithelium of the ectocervix is replaced by the columnar epithelium, which is continuous with the endocervix. So it is not an ulcer. 18.1 diagram you can see here. So usually the ectocervix, that is the outermost part of the cervix, is covered with the squamous epithelium, but in erosion what happens? The ectocervix is replaced by the columnar epithelium, that is the inner columnar epithelium of the endocervix comes and it replaces the squamous epithelium of the ectocervix, which is continuous with the endocervix. So this condition is called as the cervical ectopy or the cervical erosion. In the diagram you can see here, first this A diagram is showing the normal scamocolumnar junction. You can see the normal epithelial scamocolumnar junction here, whereas in the B second diagram you can see the ectopy of the cervix, where the squamous epithelium is replaced with the columnar epithelium of the endocervix. So coming to its etiology, what may be the etiology of the cervical erosion? There are two causes. One is the congenital and second one is the acquired. So first is the congenital causes. So what happens congenital? Congenital is at birth, which is present at birth is called as congenital. So at birth about 1/3 of the cases, the columnar epithelium of the endocervix extend beyond the external os. So what happens in children's 1/3 of the cases, usually at birth, if you notice, you can notice this ectopy. There what happens, the columnar epithelium of the endocervix extend beyond the external os, and this condition persists only for a few days until the level of estrogen derived from the mother falls. This congenital ectopy heals spontaneously. See, why this happens is, it happens because of the estrogen, maternal estrogens, which are present in the neonate or the soon after birth. The child, especially a female child, has the estrogen, maternal estrogen. So under the effect of the maternal estrogen, what happens, for the first few days after the birth, a congenital ectopy is seen, which is healed spontaneously, means without any treatment it heals. So that is the thing that is called as a congenital or the congenital ectopy or the congenital cervical erosion. Next, coming to the acquired. Acquired is again of two causes of acquired is there. One is the hormonal cause, another one is the infections. First is the hormonal cause. Here estrogen plays a very important role, because the SC junction is not a static, and its movement either inwards or the outwards is dependent on the level of estrogen. So the movement of the scamocolumnar junction is controlled by, or you can say it is dependent on the level of estrogen. So whenever the estrogen level is high, it moves out so that the columnar epithelium extend out to the vaginal portion of the cervix, replacing the squamous epithelium. So whenever the estrogen level becomes more, then the inside or the columnar epithelium of the endocervix tries to come out, and it covers the outer part, that is the vaginal part of the cervix also, and it replaces the squamous epithelium. So this state is observed. So when we can see this state, usually these conditions are seen in the estrogen dominant states, like if a lady is using any contraceptive pills, like pill users, because she is under constant estrogen if she is taking, then you can see this type of hormonal ectopy. And it can also be seen during the pregnancy, because in pregnancy also the levels of hormones increases. SC junction returns back to its normal position after 3 months following delivery. If it occurs in the pregnancy, you can find the cervical erosion. So it returns back to its normal position. That means it gets healed spontaneously after the 3 months of delivery. After giving birth to a child, 3 months you have to wait for postpartum. Then after 3 months it gets healed automatically. And little earlier following the withdrawal of pill, means less than 3 months it takes for the pill users to relieve or heal this type of hormonal ectopy by its own or spontaneous healing. It takes less than 3 months of time after withdrawal of the pills. Next is the infection. The role of infection as a primary cause of ectopy has been discarded. However, the chronic cervicitis may be associated, or else the infection may supervene on an ectopy because of the delicate columnar epithelium, which is more vulnerable to trauma and infections. So usually cervicitis infections can make it. Trauma infection can also lead to the condition. Coming to its pathogenesis, in the active phase of the ectopy, the SC junction moves out from the os. First, what happens? The scamocolumnar junction moves out from the external os. Then, the columnar epithelium of the endocervix maintains its continuity while covering the ectocervix, replacing the squamous epithelium. So, the continuity, that is the columnar epithelium of the endocervix, comes out and it covers the squamous epithelium, or it replaces the squamous epithelium of the ectocervix, and the replaced epithelium is usually arranged. See, depending on the replacement, it is classified into 3 types. One is a single layer or the flat type of ectopy, second is a follicular type of ectopy, and third is the papillary type of ectopy. Depending on the replacement of the epithelium, replacement of the squamous epithelium by columnar epithelium, it is of 3 types: flat type, follicular type, and the papillary type. So what do you mean by flat type or a single layer? Here what happens, the replaced epithelium is usually arranged in a single layer or the flat type, or maybe so when it is replaced with a single layer, then it is called as a flat type. See, you can see here, this is the flat type of ectopy. Here the single layer of squamous epithelium is replaced with the columnar epithelium. This is the simple ectopy or the flat ectopy. Next is the follicular ectopy. So what happens in follicular ectopy? In the follicular ectopy, this epithelium becomes hyperplastic, so to fold inwards to accommodate in the increased area. It is called a follicular ectopy. See here, in the follicular ectopy, the inward folding of the epithelium occurs. Inward, it starts moving inwards. Okay, so when it starts moving inwards, it looks like a follicle and it is called as a follicular ectopy. So next is the papillary ectopy. What happens in papillary ectopy is, here the it becomes heaped up to fold inwards as well as outwards. Here the epithelium heals inwards as well as outwards, giving it a appearance of just like a papilla. You can see in this diagram, papilla, it looks like a papilla. That's why it is called as a papillary ectopy, because inwards and outwards movement will be there. Inwards movements only in the follicular variety, only inwards, whereas inwards as well as outwards in the papillary ectopy. So underneath the epithelium, there are evidences of round cells infiltration and glandular proliferation. The features of infection are probably secondary rather than the primary. The columnar epithelium is less resistant to infection than the squamous epithelium. During the process of healing, so how it heals? When it starts healing, the ectopy and erosion in congenital types and hormonal types, it starts healing spontaneously. So how it heals is, during the process of healing, first the SC junction gradually moves out towards the external os. Then the squamous epithelium grows beneath the columnar epithelium until it reaches it or near to its original place at the external os. Alternatively, the replacement is probably by the squamous metaplasia of the columnar cells, and this is a method of healing. During the process, the squamous epithelium may obstruct the mouth of the undergoing glands, normally not present in the ectocervix, pent-up secretions, giving its rise to the retention cyst or the Nabothian follicle. In the diagram, you can see how it goes, is a pathogenesis. Alternatively, the epithelium may burrow inside the gland lumina. This process of replacement by the squamous epithelium is called epidermization. Epidermization is nothing but the process of replacement by the squamous epithelium. And next is the clinical features. Clinical features of the cervical ectopy or the erosion. The lesion may be asymptomatic, however the following symptoms may be present, like vaginal discharge will be there, contact bleeding, and associated cervicitis will be there. Vaginal discharge, the discharge may be excessively mucoid, it may be mucopurulent, offensive, irritant in presence of infection, and maybe even blood stain due to premenstrual congestion. Contact bleeding, especially during the pregnancy and pill use, either following coitus or defecation, may be associated. Associated cervicitis may produce backache, pelvic pain, at times may lead to infertility also. Signs: internal examination reveals the following signs. So what are the signs you can see here? Pars speculum. First you have to start with the pars speculum. Pars speculum, there is a bright red area surrounding and extending beyond the external os in the ectocervix. You can see the bright red area of the around the external os. You can see extending beyond the external os, you can see a bright red area, and surrounding and extending outside the external os. Outer edge is clearly demarcated. The lesion may be smooth or having the small papillary folds. It is neither tender nor bleeds on touch. So it is not tender, means there is no pain on touch, you can say, and it is not bleeding on touch also. On rubbing with a gauze piece, there may be multiple oozing spots, sharp bleeding in isolated spots in carcinoma. So if you rub it or with a gauze piece, then with a thin cloth of gauze piece, then you will find a multiple oozing spots over it. So it's and the feel is soft granular, giving rise to a grating sensation. So if you have to rub it with the help of a gauze piece, then you can find the multiple oozing spots and a grating sounds and soft feel. So these are the examination method. Diagnosis, differential diagnosis, it can be confused with the ectropion, early cancer, and the primary lesion or chancre. So in the ectropion, the lips of the cervix are curled back to expose the endocervix. This may be apparent when the lips of the cervix are stretched by the bivalve speculum. Early cancer, it is indurated, fragile, usually ulcerated, which bleeds to touch. Confirmation is to be done with the help of biopsy. And the primary lesion or chancre, the ulcer has a punched out appearance. So by this appearance you can diagnose. Tubercular ulcer is also one of the differential diagnoses. It is indurated ulcer with the cessation at the base. A biopsy confirms the diagnosis. Coming to its management, all cases should be subjected to the cytological examination from the cervical smear to exclude the dysplasia or malignancy. So before this, before confirming the ectopy or the erosion, you have to go, if you want to manage this case, first you have to go for the cytological examination, especially the pap smear, etc., which is very important to differentiate or to diagnose, or you can say to exclude the malignancy or the pre-malignant condition of the cervix. So this is very important. Systemic cases detected during pregnancy and early puerperium, the treatment should be withheld for at least 12 weeks postpartum. In pill users, the pill should be stopped and the barrier method is to be advised. Persistent ectopy with troublesome discharge should be treated surgically. So here the main line of treatment mainly is a surgery. If it is because of some other reasons, then surgery. If it is of hormonal reason, you can avoid the cause, but if it is fully developed and you cannot treat it medically, then you have to go for surgery. Surgery is with the help of thermal cauterization, cryosurgery, and laser vaporization. This I will be dealing in our further classes about the procedures of the cauterization, cryosurgery, etc. Thermal cauterization, that is burning the part with the this is called as cauterization. Cryosurgery is the freezing the part, again freezing those tissues, the ectopian tissues. Laser vaporization is with the help of a laser, again burning the ectopy part. All the methods employed are based on the principle of destruction of the columnar epithelium. Yes, with these methods we are destructing the columnar epithelium, to be followed by its healing by the squamous epithelium. So this completes about the cervical erosion. The next is about the eversion or ectropion. In chronic cervicitis, there is marked thickening of the cervical mucosa with underlying tissue edema. These thickened tissues tend to push out through the external os along with the direction of the least resistant. Then it is more marked when the cervix has already been lacerated. In this condition, the longitudinal muscle fibers are free to act unopposed. As a result, the lips of the cervix curl outwards and upwards to expose the red looking endocervix, as to be confused with ectopy. 18.3 diagram you can see here. This is the eversion condition. You can ectopy condition and eversion, it is commonly confused with the cervical erosion, but here the lips are curled outside. You can see here the lips of the cervix are curled upwards and outwards to expose the red looking endocervix. Coming to the cyst, cervical cyst, Nabothian cyst and the endometrial cyst. Nabothian cyst, they are usually multiple. In the diagram you can see the Nabothian cyst of the cervix. They are formed due to blocking of the cervical gland's mouth, usually as a result of healing of ectopy. The pent-up secretions produce cysts of varying sizes from microscopic to pea-sized. The presence of the cyst furthest from the external os indicates the existence of transformation zone, extent of the transformation zone. The lining epithelium is columnar and the treatment is directed towards chronic cervicitis. You have to treat it in the line of chronic cervicitis. You can see here the Nabothian cyst of the cervix. Then endometriotic cysts, these are situated in the portio-vaginalis part of the cervix. The cyst is small and reddish of less than 1 centimeter in diameter. It is more explained by the implantation theory. Implantation of the endometrium occurs during the delivery or surgery. The lining epithelium shows endometrial glands and stroma. Symptoms include intermenstrual or postcoital bleeding, deep dyspareunia and dysmenorrhea. Speculum examination reveals a small reddish cyst. The treatment is by destruction by cauterization and sometimes it needs excision too. Mesonephric cysts, these are usually situated on the outer side of the cervical stroma. They seldom exceed 2.5 cm. They are lined by the cuboidal epithelium. They are asymptomatic. Existence is discovered on the speculum examination and confirmation with the help of excision biopsy. So this completes the important benign lesions of the cervix. Thank you.